Okay. So the first one, we'll talk about the pharynx. So what is pharynx? Pharynx, as you already all know, so it is a mucous membrane tube. So from where it starts? It starts from the nose, mouth and larynx, or it means it lies behind. It is present behind the nose, mouth and larynx. From where it starts or extends? It extends. So that is the base of the skull. So which is the base of the skull here? The base of the skull here, it is the sphenoid sinus. You all seen the sphenoid sinus? So from there, that part is called the base of the skull. Okay, up to sixth cervical vertebra. So these are the vertebrae. And then it continues as a esophagus. And then what happens here? The widest, so the part it is, see here, this pink color structure. So it is wide in the beginning and smaller or narrower in the lower part. So that is pharyngoesophageal junction. What is pharyngoesophageal junction? Where the pharynx and esophagus joins. So that is the junction. So these are the parts here. So what I told in the beginning, the pharynx present behind the nose, mouth and larynx. Okay, the structure behind the nose is called nasopharynx, and the structure behind or a part behind the mouth cavity or oral cavity is called oropharynx, and a part behind the larynx is called laryngopharynx. Okay, next, here in this slide it is the same thing what we told. So nasocavity, so what it contains? The concha. So this part is called nasopharynx, and the part with the oral cavity through oropharyngeal isthmus. So that part is called oropharynx, and the laryngeal cavity or it behind the larynx through the inlet of the larynx. Inlet of the larynx means the inner part of the larynx. That part is called laryngopharynx. Next, so what you will see in the pharynx or in the nasopharynx, each part they have a separate limitations or separate boundaries from where to where it is called nasopharynx, oropharynx and laryngopharynx, like that. So nasopharynx, it extends, as we already told, it extends from the base of the skull. It extends from the base of the skull to the soft palate. Now see here, this part, from where the upper part of the soft palate. So that part is called nasopharynx. And then, so it has roof, floor, anterior wall, posterior wall and lateral wall. So what is the roof? As same, the skull, base of the skull, and the floor. So it is this part, the raised soft palate. This is the soft palate and pharyngeal isthmus. Then I already told, so these are the important things you should remember. So in the practical also, we have discussed all these things. So here you should mention all the structures. So how the wall, anterior wall is formed, the posterior wall. So what is it? It is formed by arch of Atlas. So what is arch of Atlas? It is the first cervical vertebra. And then in the lateral wall, so don't worry about these numbers. Okay, just neglect these numbers, but you should remember these contents. Okay, and then opening of auditory tube. I have already shown you this structure here. This part, so this is the opening of the auditory tube, and these are the other contents present in the walls of the nasopharynx. Next, this you just for your reference. So what it is here? So it is having a communications. All these nasal cavity, how the nasopharynx connected and where all it is connected. Nasal cavity, tympanic cavity, and oropharynx. Okay. So just you leave this slide. Next part. So here the oropharynx. So okay. Oropharynx, from where it starts? Where the nasopharynx ends? It ends at the soft palate. From here it starts. Okay. Begins. So begins as a nasopharyngeal at the level of soft palate. Okay. You got? This is the meaning here. At the level of the soft palate. And then what happens? Then it continues. So then it continues behind the larynx. Okay, below the larynx at upper border of the upper border of epiglottis. There is one more. You have already seen the epiglottis. Till the epiglottis, it is called the pharynx. From here to here, the pharynx, then the subdivisions. Then what is there in the above? Above, it has above it has the soft palate, pharyngeal isthmus, and below it continues opposite to the upper border of the epiglottis. Till the epiglottis, it is called laryngo-oropharynx. Okay, here. Then, so these are the walls. I already discussed in the practical. So what are the importance of these walls? So you should remember all the contents. Oropharyngeal isthmus, the posterior part of the tongue, and then the body of the cervical vertebra. Don't mention only the cervical vertebra. So when remember, you should connect it with the body of the cervical vertebra. And then in the lateral wall, it has the folds, palatoglossal fold, palatopharyngeal fold, and palatine tonsils. Next, same as the laryngopharynx. So here also, you remember the anterior wall, posterior and lateral walls. So what are it is made up of? The anterior wall, the inlet of the larynx. It means the inner part of the larynx. Okay. This larynx, what happens? It continues as a esophagus, and anteriorly it continues with the inlet of the larynx. Again, see, mention these bodies. Body is the main important structure which is connected with the larynx. Body of these vertebrae. On the lateral wall, it contains these structures. Okay. One more thing. What is this piriform fossa? You all seen the monkeys? You just answer for my questions. Okay. Then this thing will become interest. Okay. So when the monkey excuse me, when the monkey eats, what happens in the neck? Whenever the monkey eats, in the neck there is a small ball like structures on the either side. Have you seen that thing? No, no, you 1 minute. I will show you. Mm, 1 minute. Are you seeing? Are you seeing this picture? Yes. See here. How the monkey is eating? Yes. Can you see the arrows where I am putting the pointer? Yes or no? I am putting the pointer here. Yes. So this pointer. So whenever the monkey eats, it will make a balloon-like structure in the neck. Okay. So that is the piriform fossa. Here the monkey is eating. So whenever, so this space, the food goes and collect here in this space. So that is called piriform fossa here. So this fossa, it is also present in the humans. You got that? That that is the this space is also present in the human beings, but it is more developed in lower animals. That is, in the animals, it is more developed. So what happens? So this is the, yes, like monkeys and all. So this, that space, it was in the old days. So the humans, they used to use for the smuggling of the diamonds. They used to keep the diamonds in that space, and then they used to travel. Okay, so that is the point. So you can also see, if you put history of piriform fossa, you can see some articles in the Google, so that you see, and you will get interesting stories. Okay, so that is the space. It is supplied by internal laryngeal nerve. See here, it is the site for the foreign body. So where the foreign bodies go and sit there. Next structure is the tonsils. So these are the lymphoid structure or lymphatic structure. Where it is present? These are present in the area. So that area is called tonsillar fossa. In between what? Between palatoglossal and palatopharyngeal folds. Okay? And then, so these are the surfaces. So these surfaces, the lateral and medial surface. The lateral surface is covered by tonsillar capsule, and the medial surface is free and covered with the epithelium. What is the epithelium? Stratified squamous epithelium. So in this, there is a Waldeyer's ring. What is this Waldeyer's ring? It is the group of lymph nodes like this. They are surrounding the pharynx. Group of lymph nodes, they are surrounding or around the pharynx. What they will do? They will protect the infection. They will prevent infections. Okay. So what are they contains? So remember all these 3 points. Okay. The antero inferiorly and laterally and posterior superiorly. So all these lymph nodes, they are present at these places. Okay. Lingual tonsil, tubal and palatine tonsil, and nasopharyngeal tonsils. Next, the constrictor muscles. As I already told in the lab, remember these 3 muscles and the nerve supply. Just constrictor means just leave the action. So it is generally understood that so they helps in the constriction of pharynx. Same as the longitudinal muscles, they are stylopharyngeus, salpingopharyngeus, and palatopharyngeus. Okay. All the muscles, they are supplied by, except stylopharyngeus, they are supplied by glossopharyngeal nerve. Okay, leave the functions. Next. So is there any doubts in the pharynx? Okay. So next, what is larynx? What you know about the larynx? No, no, no. Yes, larynx has a trachea. No, but larynx, the lower part of the larynx, it is that is there behind pharynx or front of the pharynx. But what is the main function of larynx? Air conditioner. No, no, no. Yes, it is called voice box. It is the organ of phonation. So what do you mean by phonation here? See the slide. It is the organ of phonations. Phonation means voice box for speech. Okay, and helps in respiration. Okay, upper ended part of the trachea. So here the upper end of the, so the main function is not tunation. It is not tunation here. Phonation. Yes, 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 yes. Phonation. Okay. So it helps in the production of, yes, phone. Huh? The phone you remember. Okay, okay. It protects the lower respiratory tract, and where it helps as a respiratory, helps to the respiratory system. Okay, so where it is present? It is present, it is a midline structure, or it is present in the middle of the neck in front of the laryngopharynx. It is present in front of the laryngopharynx from third to sixth cervical vertebra. So this is the larynx. So I already discussed the parts. So this one is the upper part, it is the hyoid bone, and then this is the thyroid cartilage, and this is cricoid cartilage, Okay. So this is thyrohyoid membrane. It is present between the thyroid cartilage and the hyoid bone. Same as there is a one more membrane, thyrocricoid. It means the membrane between the thyroid cartilage and the cricoid cartilage. And then cricotracheal membrane or ligament. So it is between the cricoid cartilage and the first ring of the thyroid, first ring of the trachea. That is called cricotracheal ligament or membrane. Next is this. You have to remember all these 6 structures. So these are the cartilages. They are the single or unpaired cartilages and the paired cartilages. The unpaired cartilages are thyroid, cricoid and epiglottic. Whereas paired cartilages are arytenoid, corniculate and cuneiform. Okay. Next, on the thyroid cartilage, there is a oblique line. So this oblique line, it provides or it gives the attachment of these 3 muscles. So that is sternothyroid, thyrohyoid and inferior pharyngeal constrictor muscles. Okay. Next, about the thyroid cartilage. It is also called Adam's apple. Here, it is there here. On the thyroid cartilage. Yes. Okay. It is also called Adam's apple. And then, so this is there is a deep V-shaped thyroid notch. This is the notch here. This is the V-shaped notch here. This. And then, so what it contains? Superior horn. This I already shown in the lab. So it is called, so here it is the hyoid bone. Just I will revise. The hyoid bone will be attaching like this. This is the superior horn and the inferior horn. So inferior horn articulates with cricoid cartilage. Okay. Next again, it is the same thing. In the previous slide, I told oblique line, the attachment of the muscle. So these are the areas here. This is how the oblique line is present. Okay. This is about the thyroid cartilage and the parts of the thyroid cartilage here. The pharyngeal isthmus, it is there in the upper part. So it is in the pharynx. Okay. Next structure. So what are the other things you will see? Thyroid cartilage. Here is the epiglottis and the cricoid cartilage. And below the cricoid cartilage, you will see the trachea. And behind, so in the lab, I have shown you. So these are the small cartilages. Okay. The cricoid, arytenoid and corniculate. Here, this is the V-shaped notch of the thyroid cartilage. And here, before this again, we will revise that point. The thyrohyoid membrane, this one. This is the thyrohyoid membrane. It is having two passages. That what is the importance of this passage? I will tell you next. And then there is another membrane, thyrocricoid membrane. And then another membrane, cricotracheal membrane or ligament. This one, like this. So these are the three muscles. And then in the cricoid cartilage, so what is cricoid cartilage? Here you remember the attachments and articulations. Okay, no problem. All they are, yes. So where the cricoid cartilage articulates and attachments. Posteriorly, it is attaching with the arytenoid cartilage, and the inferior horn of the thyroid cartilage articulates laterally. So laterally it has the inferior horn of the thyroid cartilage, and posteriorly it articulates with the arytenoid cartilage, that is cricoid cartilage. Then about the epiglottis. So where the epiglottis is present, it is the upper part of the and behind the tongue. I have shown you in the specimen. Okay, the leaf-like structure, same like this. So where it is attached? It is attached. Yes, it is attached to the hyoid bone by elastic hyoepiglottic ligament. So that ligament is called hyoepiglottic ligament. Okay, its lower end is attached to the inner surface. Yes, good. So it closes the larynx during swallowing. Okay, inner surface of the thyroid cartilage. Okay, it is attached to the inner side of the thyroid cartilage. So it has two surface, lingual and laryngeal. They are also called anterior and posterior surfaces. Next, here you just remember the name of the cartilages here: arytenoid, cricoid, corniculate and cuneiform. Okay, so these are the very small cartilages behind the posterior view. You see like this. Then I told the thyrohyoid membrane. So where it is attached? It is attached to the above to the hyoid bone and below to the thyroid cartilage. So which part of the thyroid cartilage? Upper border of the thyroid cartilage and upper border of the hyoid bone in between. And I told there is a small holes. So this small hole, so it pierces these structures, the internal laryngeal nerve and laryngeal vessels passes through this membrane. See here. So this is how the epiglottis is present, like this. This is the thyroid cartilage. This is epiglottis and this is thyroid cartilage here. And this is thyroid membrane. Next, cricothyroid membrane. So cricothyroid membrane. So where it is? Between the cricoid cartilage and the thyroid cartilage and cricoid cartilage. So what it is here? Here the center part and the lateral part. Okay. Whereas the cricotracheal, it is between the cricoid cartilage and the first tracheal ring. So this in the beginning I told you, between the cricoid cartilage and first tracheal ring. This is another diagram. So here vocal folds. Okay, you just leave this laryngeal inlet also. So now you will leave all those slides and directly we come to the extrinsic muscles of the larynx. So here you should remember what are the muscles. So which muscles helps for depression of the larynx and which muscle helps for elevation of the larynx. And there is another group of muscles, they are intrinsic muscles. In the intrinsic muscles, there are subdivisions. So sometimes when you ask to write only the intrinsic muscles, you can write any intrinsic muscles. If there is any specific questions, name the intrinsic muscles of the muscles acting on inlet of the larynx. Then you have to write these muscles. Okay, you got my point? Airy, when you ask to write the intrinsic muscles, you can write any muscle. There are some other muscles also. All these are intrinsic muscles. Okay, till here. All these are intrinsic muscles. Yes. So if you want to write 3 or 4 muscles. Okay. In this there are subdivisions. Not one. You have to write 3 or 4 according to the question I am telling. If it is a MCQ, you have to mark there like that. Okay, muscles acting on inlet, these 3 muscles, and then the muscles acting on rhimma glottis. Here you write only posterior cricoarytenoid and lateral cricoarytenoid. Okay, just don't worry about these 2 points. Okay, so this is also okay. So this point and this point you remember. Open the rhimma glottis and closes the rhimma glottis. Same like muscle acting on the vocal cord. See here, this is our vocal cord. The voice box is like this in the larynx. So these are the 2 muscles which act or which are acting on the vocal cord. So they are the muscles. Tenses means makes very hard. Relaxes means when you are not talking in the resting mode. So to get the rest of the muscle, so this is the muscle which helps. So that is thyroarytenoid and vocalis. Next, the nerve supply. Always remember here the nerve supply and the blood supply. It is divided into, if this is suppose the vocal cord, above the vocal cord and below the vocal cord. See here. vagus nerve through its branches, superior laryngeal nerve, and recurrent laryngeal nerve. Okay. So these are the muscles which supplies us to the muscles, whereas the blood supply, it is above the vocal cord and below the vocal cord. Above the vocal cord, it is by superior laryngeal artery, which is a branch of superior thyroid artery, and below by inferior laryngeal branch, this is a branch of inferior thyroid artery. And then these two parts of the lymph nodes, that is the upper part and the lower part. Upper part by upper deep cervical and lower part by lower deep cervical lymph nodes. Okay, this you leave it, no problem. So any doubts in this? So I will start with the last lecture. Yeah. These are the some special features you can read if you are interested in. There are so many books are available. But doctor, there are some questions related why more prominence in male, but because the male always genetically nerve supply. Yeah, nerve supply, you just remember this name of the nerves. Vagus, okay. The motor nerves, they are supplied by all the larynx except cricothyroid, supplied by recurrent laryngeal nerve, and the sensory part below the vocal cord, it is by recurrent laryngeal nerve except cricothyroid. Again, the same sentence is repeated here. It's clear? This larynx and pharynx, it's a very interesting topic. So whenever you have a leisure time, just go through it. So you will remember how your speech is going on, how you will swallowing. Yeah, that's what I'm telling. But doctor, some question prominence in male and female, because always male features are more stronger. It is genetically proven that, so male features are stronger. So it's clear now. So shall I start the salivary glands? Metallic less than male. So this point, actually I don't know here, but no, metabolic and all. See, this is all. I don't know in which context you are telling metabolic. No. I don't think so. Okay. So if it is metabolic, again, it comes in the biochemistry level. Yeah, see, again, thyroid gland is not at all related with the larynx. So this it's a different topic. Okay. So shall I finish the salivary gland? Okay. So now I have already and you are already seen the salivary glands. So the largest one is the parotid gland, and the other glands are accessory parotid gland, and this parotid gland having the parotid duct, and another one the submandibular glands. The first one is the parotid gland. So this is the largest salivary gland in the body. Okay, so where it is present? No, sorry, not this one. I put the wrong slide. Just a minute. One minute. Okay. So this is the revised lecture. So here, what are the boundaries? So this we already told you. You should remember all these boundaries. So it means the anteriorly. So anterior part, it is related to ramus of the mandible and the masseter bone, and posteriorly masseter muscle here, this part. Okay, and posteriorly mastoid process here. Here is the mastoid process and the sternomastoid muscle. Here is the anterior part and this is the posterior part of the thyroid parotid gland. Whereas on the medial side, that is the styloid process and the muscles coming from the styloid process. Whereas the superiorly here above, you can see in this picture, this part. The superiorly, this part is by auditory tube. So this parotid gland, it has a parts: superficial, deep and accessory part. This one. This is the accessory part. Next is, so it is covered with a fascia. So what is fascia? That is the parotid fascia. So this fascia, it is coming from superficial layer of deep cervical fascia. It is a part of this deep cervical fascia. So that is why it is very tightly attached to the important. Yes, it is important. It is very tightly attached. So that is why any infection in this area, they are very much painful. And this parotid gland, it has these parts. So all these parts, they are related to one of the structures which we'll see in next slides. So what are there on the apex of the parotid gland? It is related to these three structures. So they are retromandibular vein, external carotid artery, and cervical branch of the facial nerve. Now you may ask, so where is the apex? In this part is the apex of the parotid gland. So that is why here the cervical branch of the facial nerve comes here, and here the temporal branch, and here this is the another branch, and the buccal branch, and here the mandibular branch. Temporal, and this is the, sorry, so temporal, zygomatic, buccal branch, mandibular branch, and the cervical branch. So this part is the apex of the parotid gland. Okay, next part. The base of the parotid gland. So what are the structures it is related? So it is forming the structures, that is superficial temporal vein, superficial temporal artery and nerve, and temporal branch of facial nerve. So it is, you make it temporal branch of facial nerve here. And then auriculotemporal nerve. Similarly, the borders. So what are there in the borders? The anterior border, it is related to the facial nerve, facial artery here. So what you are seeing in this diagram, this part. Okay, this is the anterior border. Anterior border, here all these 5 branches come like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then facial artery is also here, that you already seen and written in the exams. And on this they have a, can you see this one, yellow like structure? This is the parotid duct, and above this you have a accessory parotid gland. And then the posterior border, it is overlapped. Overlap means covered. This one, this is the anterior border, and this is the posterior border. Okay, here you have the sternomastoid muscle, and medially it is related to pharynx. And these are the structures. What is the structures within the parotid gland? Within means the structure going inside the parotid gland. So what are there inside? The facial nerve go inside, it goes inside here and comes outside here. Okay, and then the retromandibular vein and the external carotid artery. It goes inside the parotid gland. See here, all these, this is the external carotid artery is going, and then the vein, blue color structure, retromandibular vein. And here the relations of the surfaces. So what are the surface relations? So you should remember all these points: the name of the surface and its contents, the name of this surface and its content, and then the posteromedial surface and all these contents. It's okay? Is there anything you want to revise here? Stylohyoid, muscle, styloglossus. M means muscle. Okay? Stylohyoid, ligament. So sometimes if we ask only ligament, you have to write only ligament. So if there is only muscle, then you have to write only muscles. Just see the question and answer accordingly. Next, about the parotid duct. So where it opens, the parotid duct opens in the upper second molar tooth. Then, so how you will mark? So where you will recognize the parotid gland is present? You draw the line like this from this point to tragus, the small part of the ear. So that part is called tragus of the ear, and the margin of the upper lip. So that is the margin of the upper lip. The midpoint of this is called, so there it lies the parotid duct. So this parotid duct, it is covered by these 4 B's. So what are the 4 B's? The buccal pad of the fat, and then buccopharyngeal membrane. All these structures, they are present in the cheek. And then buccinator muscle and buccal mucosa. Okay, and then you leave this. Which are going within the parotid gland, that is the facial nerve, the vein, and the external carotid artery. All these structures, they go inside, and the facial nerve, it comes outside the anterior border. Okay, and these are the branches. They are temporal, zygomatic, buccal branches, mandibular branch, and the cervical branches. Here you just remember the name of the branches of the facial nerve. Okay, you just leave this slide. And this is a very important slide. So what happens here? So sometimes the patient comes with a facial paralysis, and then difficulty in smiling or closing the eyes on the affected side. So where the facial nerve is affected, that side of the face, the patient is, see here, the condition, one side of the face is dropped or become stiff, and then difficulty in smiling and closing the eye. So it is, patient is difficult to close the eyes. So these are the some symptoms. With this, you can diagnose the seventh cranial nerve, or that is the facial nerve is affected. Next, the submandibular region. It is the region below the mandible. So what are the boundaries here? Where is the trachea? No, no, no. Trachea is not involved here. Only the face. The treatment plan in this, they will give some steroids. Okay. Have you heard the word of film actor, Hollywood actor Sylvester Stallone? You know him? Have you seen his pictures? Sylvester Stallone. You know him? You just type the name. Is the name of the movie is Rambo. He is the actor of that movie. You see in the Google, you will see it. So that his name is Sylvester Stallone. So he is a very famous Hollywood actor. He is having this condition. Initially, he made some movies in the beginning, and some with some other problem, he is having this facial palsy. Even though after that also he was acting. Okay. Okay. Whatever is. Yeah. Now he is old. You can see now he is in younger movies. Okay. Remember these boundaries. What are the boundaries? And then the contents. This we already discussed in the lab also. What are the contents? So sublingual region, the glands. So what are the glands are? Submandibular salivary gland and sublingual salivary glands. And then what are the muscles? And then extrinsic muscles of the tongue. Which are the extrinsic muscles? They are related in the submandibular region. What are the arteries and the veins are relating, and the nerves which are relating to the submandibular region. So all these are the contents of the submandibular region, and the ligament, stylohyoid ligament, and the contents. So here next we come to the submandibular gland. So how this submandibular gland is? You can see in this picture. See here, this is the submandibular gland here. It is U-like, U-shaped structure. In between the U, there is a muscle. Okay. Now, what is that? So, U-shaped around the posterior edge of the mylohyoid muscle. So, what is that muscle? See here. Here also you can see. This is the U-shaped, and this is the mylohyoid muscle. This mylohyoid muscle makes the salivary gland, submandibular gland, into U shape and divides into two parts. That is the superficial part and the deep part. Superficial part, superficial to mylohyoid muscle, and the deep part deep to the mylohyoid, and in between it there is a hyoglossus muscle. Okay. Next is the submandibular duct. From where it begins? So begins from the deep surface of the deep surface means inside the parotid, that submandibular gland, and then it passes between mylohyoid and hyoglossus muscle, and also between the lingual and hypoglossal nerve. And where it opens? It opens in the floor of the mouth. Okay, on the summit. Summit means somewhere near to the sublingual papillae. Yeah, some things they are very strange. Strange means it is the creation is like that. Okay, and the sublingual gland, here also name the relations, and how many sublingual duct. Sublingual duct, where it is? Here. It is present below the tongue. So site in the floor of the mouth under the tongue. Where it is present? Below the tongue you will find the sublingual glands. Okay. So these are the relations: anterior medial relation, posterior, sorry, anterior lateral medial relations of the below, and relations to the above. And then in the nerve supply, here about the sensory, hypoglossal nerve, and the submandibular ganglion, whereas in the arterial supply, the facial and lingual artery. So these two are the branches from external carotid artery. Okay, and then the facial vein and the lingual vein, and you remember all there where they are connected, how the facial vein is formed and how the vein is formed. Okay, so any doubts in this? So it is clear here. Okay, then. No, facial nerve, you write only the branches of the facial nerve. Yes, the facial vein unites with the anterior division of retromandibular vein to form common facial vein. Yes, same as the lingual vein. Okay. Okay then. Shall we close the session?